For more on this story, we can cross live to France 24's Emmanuelle Chaze in Kyiv. Emmanuelle, what does Ukraine make of these announcements from the US president?
Well, there are two layers of these announcements. We've heard the tariffs aim at gripping the Russian economy and forcing Russia to the table of negotiations. On that, I would say that Ukraine has the hope that Russia will have less means to conduct its war of aggression against Ukraine, but it also doesn't have very high hopes that Vladimir Putin will change his stance on Ukraine anytime soon. Now, the second important announcement yesterday was when Donald Trump said that the U.S. equipment sent to Ukraine would include Patriot system of air defense, which Ukraine direly needs. Now, that was a welcome announcement there, because we know that daily Russia continues its strikes with barrages of drones, barrages of missiles, and those U.S. systems in particular are very efficient against Russian ballistic missiles. Of course, there are questions as to how many systems will be sent, by whom exactly. We've heard Volodymyr Zelensky saying that America, together with Germany and Norway in particular, were discussing sending additional systems, so probably systems that are already in Europe and that will be then transferred to Ukraine. What is clear now is that Donald Trump got what he wanted. The U.S. equipment will be bought by Ukraine's allies before being transferred to Ukraine. So for the American president, it means it's a good transactional compromise, if you will. That America is no longer giving weapons, it is selling them to allies and then transferred to Ukraine. And for Kyiv, it is a further reassurance that it might be able to secure its skies against Russian aggression.
Meanwhile, Emmanuel Zelensky has announced a cabinet reshuffle, which he says is going to renew the government for the first time in more than 3 years into Russia's war. What do we know about that?
Well, there were changes in the government multiple times during those 3 years. What we do not see so far are elections, because they simply cannot be held under the state of emergency here in Ukraine. So instead, we have this reshuffle. He offered the position of Prime Minister to the current Vice Prime Minister and Economy Minister, Yulia Sviridenko. She will then have to get the approval of the Ukrainian Parliament, and if all things go according to what the parliament said, this should happen tomorrow. Yulia Sviridenko will also present a list of potential ministers with whom she intends to work, and we already know that according to Volodymyr Zelensky, Denis Shmyhal, the current prime minister, could stay in that government. He might replace Rustem Umyerov as the defense minister, while Umyerov himself might be the next Ukraine ambassador to Washington. But of course, this is all hypothetical, and we have to see whether or not the Verkhovna Rada, the Ukrainian parliament, will approve of those changes tomorrow.
All right, Emmanuelle Chaze, thank you very much for your reporting from Ukraine.